So I'm very happy to be here with you, and also wanted to say big congratulations to the interpreters again, because the experience is so smooth for a non-Russian or non-Ukrainian speaker. Really fantastic job. So thank you so much for everything that you do for us. And now let me see how to share my screen. I'm really sorry, I'm a bit, I know after a year and a half of doing Zoom, I should know by now, but it's never easy. Okay, guys, tell me if you see my screen now.
Oh, we can see the screen.
You can see the screen, right? The question is, which screen do you see? Great. So today we're going to talk about sustainability, and I would like to say right on time because of the COVID impact. So from the perspective of last year, we can see that the COVID crisis has shown an incredibly harsh light on a wide range of sustainability challenges and exposed weaknesses in inequality in basically every aspect of the society. First of all, we polluted the planet even more because after years of trying to reduce plastic, we started to wrap everything in plastic again for sanitary reasons, like in the old good times. And for example, we started to use disposable masks. So before COVID, and those are striking numbers, $800 million, that was the revenue, global sales revenue of disposable masks around the world. A year later, so the first year of COVID, it was already 166 billion. In the country of Italy, which has 60 million people, they actually use billion masks every month. And what's crazy is that nobody knew that actually those disposable masks, you can wash them up to 10 times. We statistically, 79% of those will accumulate in landfills and 10% will end up in the ocean. But also COVID highlighted other inequalities in our society. So what's much worse, with every crisis, we know that rich get richer, poor get poorer. But already before the pandemic, we had the highest gap in the developed countries in the last 30 years. So that income gap becomes bigger and bigger. It also highlighted educational inequality. So with school closures, 20% of kids in developed countries disappeared from the system. 20% of children disappeared from the system. But in not developed countries, 86% of kids are out of school. And we can see that in Poland. In Poland, the back exam, so the exam at the end of high school, 25% of students didn't pass it. I mean, this was a record we never had before. Poverty. So it's estimated that 1.6 billion people, so quite a big proportion of the entire population, is in informal economy. So lots of them lost jobs last year. In India, almost half of the country is sliding into poverty. At the same time, we had 500 million new millionaires. And we all heard what happened in every country. Lots of money made money on those masks and another plastic gloves, and you can imagine. But the last point is digital exclusion. So of course that can be due to poverty, disabilities, age, location, language, or also low levels of digital literacy. So on one side, we can see that digitalization offers incredible opportunities for sustainability, but at the same time, it concentrates power in the hands of a few actors like Amazon and Google. So that's why today I would like to focus on a few questions. So on one side, starting with the definition, what is sustainability? Asking the question if our industry is sustainable, what we can do together, and also what you can do as a company and as an individual. So what is sustainability? I know that we all know different definitions, but the most common definition, and it's actually quite striking as well, is that it's meeting the needs of the present, but without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And by that, we actually mean 7 future generations. So it's 180 years in the future. And we all know that many things that we've been doing are actually harming the future opportunities of those generations. I saw that at UTIC you have this year yoga classes, and did you know that actually people who do yoga and who meditate are more prone to think about sustainability issues? And this is because sustainability, according to this definition, focuses on long-term gains instead of short-term. So doing yoga definitely makes you more sustainable. So I hope you are joining those classes in the morning. So the discussion about sustainability is linked with the discussion about what is the reason for a corporation to exist. And one of the main visions last century was that the company's businesses are there to make profit. One of the defenders of this theory was the famous American economist, won actually the Nobel Prize in economy, Milton Friedman. So he was always saying that business is only there to pursue profit. Companies should not care about any sustainability because that's the role of the government. The manager should only care about the stakeholders, so only make more money. And social issues are not should not be dealt by corporate managers. However, this view, even if it dominated in the 20th century, is really increasingly difficult to agree with right now. As an example, Steve Jobs was always saying that Apple's mission is to make contribution to the world by making tools for the mind to advance humankind. And he was also saying that companies cannot be successful long term if they only focus on profit, because sustainability is not longer about doing less harm, it's about doing more good. So with this introduction, I would like to ask you a question, and hope someone maybe can take a microphone and tell us what you think about it. Do you think that our industry is sustainable? The
So,
localization industry, are we
some
sustainable?
replies from the industry. Is our industry sustainable? Hmm?
I guess so.
Okay, why do you
Okay.
think so?
Because we don't pollute air like some plants, for example. Um,
But I think that we just waste a lot of paper. We just
When we print.
we have one more reply.
I think that it depends on uh, if we wish to, because there are so many ways to be sustainable, starting from using, we can even use sustainable fonts. I mean,
It's
fonts
true.
that allows to reduce the ink, the amount of ink. If we need, well, we can go paperless, but even if we need to print something, we can simply think of using sustainable fonts. It's only one simple example about the sustainable mindset in our industry.
Very good, very good. And actually, you mentioned a very important point. I mean, both of you are right, but you also mentioned the important point about the font, because it's not only when you print you use less ink, but also on your computer you need less computational power if you use some fonts instead of others. And even if on your server you have, let's say, less heavy images or less pictures, you also use less computational power, so your carbon footprint is lower. But I would say, so those are very important points, but sustainability is not only about recycling and about the environment, it's also about the social and economic impact. And only when those 3 points meet, so profits, people, and planet, we can talk about sustainability. So, for example, at the cross border of economic and people, we have workers' rights. So only the companies that pay fair wages, so they care about the workers and they care about the economy, they can be sustainable. So it is actually quite a complex quite a complex topic. And yes, so I agree with you. And many people actually always say that our industry is sustainable because we're digital first. Also, when we talk about gender equality, there are more women. So according to the CSA research, we are also very international, which means that we are open to new ideas, cooperating between ourselves. We're flexible, so there is quite a lot of career opportunities for young people. Myself, I was in marketing, but I started as a project coordinator. So we can really, there's lots of opportunities for anybody who wants to succeed in this in this industry. But at the same time, I would say it's not sustainable. And one of those elements that I actually like to talk about is pricing pathology. One of the examples is Poland, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same situation in Ukraine, because companies, when after we joined the European Union, everybody was trying to set up an LSP in Poland. All the businesses were entering Poland as the market, so we started price wars. And the prices at the moment for the Polish interpreters and translators are the lowest in the entire European Union, to the point that some people need to work the entire day and they still only do a minimum wage. It's also another question that is not sustainable is cheap outsourcing. So instead of outsourcing that to a native speaker or maybe even to an experienced translator, we send it to students, not native speakers. Instead of sending something for Spain, Spanish for Spain, we translate it with Spanish in Latin America. Those are not sustainable practices. That also results in talent drain. There's so many people who would be incredibly talented translators or interpreters, but they leave the industry because they cannot support themselves financially. Limited resources. So of course, in some of the languages, like in Polish or I guess Ukrainian as well, you have quite a few full of talent. But if you need to translate something in a very specific field, even into Italian, can you imagine, there's only one translator specializing in marketing translations in jewelry in Italy, only one person. And when that person is on vacation, there's no translation happening. And another big topic, isolation. And last year I attended a fantastic presentation of one of our colleagues who spoke about translators, project coordinators who are sometimes not involved in the whole process. They don't speak with the editor. They can never find a mentor. Basically, they work in isolation, and it's incredibly demotivating for young linguists. Another element, if we talk about economy, of course, the translation and the localization industry is growing, but it's not growing as fast as other industries. So if we look at, sorry, I just made a mistake here. It was 2009 as the first number. The entire industry was $23 billion in 2009. It is expected in 2 years, that means that we will attain 70 billion. At the same time, AI software revenue is forecast to grow from 10 billion, so almost where we started, to over 12,000 times. And content volume increased 50 times at the same time. So our industry is really growing very slowly. Consolidation. There's lots of small companies also, I can see that in Poland, who cannot survive, so they will be absorbed. We also can see SDL was bought by RWS before my company, Donley, bought by SDL. At the end, we'll end up with just big top. Another big issue is low technology adoption. It's actually a great example of Canada, because in Canada, everything, as you know, has to be provided in 2 languages. So it is actually in the Canadian Constitution, it is there expressed as the human rights, as the citizens' right, to have access to a language version of equal quality. And only 37% of Canadian LSPs, so even less than half, use TMS or any CAT tools. There's a big campaign now of the Translation Bureau of Canada, which is a governmental institution that leads all the language efforts in Canada and translates also for the government. It's one of the top LSPs in the world, if you just look at it as an LSP. So now they're actually campaigning on promoting NT, TMS, and there's a huge opposition in Canada to use any technology. Then we also spoke about gender inequality. So of course, 70% are women, and those are the statistics from CSA research, but 50% of managers are men. And what's more, that there is a pay gap. So women get almost 20% less than men, and that pay gap is also higher at the top. So a female CEO is going to earn less than a male CEO in our industry. even if the CSA research has found that language service providers that are helmed by women are more productive and profitable than those with male CEOs. So think about that. And then the last point is about the real cost of technology, because digital is not really green, or it's not always green. So thank you for your comment about using a different font. There's definitely more that we can do. But just to give you some examples, training a single neural network model can emit as much carbon as 5 cars in their lifetimes. So developing any of the MT technologies or TMS, it costs a lot of carbon footprint. So the amount of computational power, of course, it's only increasing because of the rise of AI. And what's another famous example is, for example, Bitcoin. It is expected that Bitcoin only is going to consume 14% of the world's energy. 14% just for one currency. So with that in mind, just looking at those different aspects of the localization industry, I invited industry leaders to work with me on an initiative championing a more sustainable culture in localization. And the response was incredible. So many of them immediately wrote to me that they wanted to collaborate on raising the standards. I actually found that there are quite a few companies that are already using and adopting more sustainable practices. There are a few big corporations even in our industry, maybe less than 10, but the number is growing. And actually, I'm going to show you now a video in which I invited almost 30 industry leaders from 6 continents. So yes, we had Europe, but we also had Africa, Australia, Asia, North America, and Southern America. And you are going to recognize a few speakers. Tanya is there as well. Our Stanisław is there. So you are going to recognize a few people and a few friends that, of course, you know. So it is pretty impressive. And altogether, we represent companies that have more than 10,000 employees, and we potentially altogether, those people in the video work with absolutely all the top hundreds companies in the world. So guys, I know that you have a video on a different screen. Can you show it now?
The Localization Sustainability Project is a global initiative
uniting language solutions providers around the world
and championing more sustainable culture
within the localization and language technology industry.
And we believe that
we have an extraordinary opportunity
to hit the reset button for our industry
and break one cycle to start another.
If we are successful,
in the coming years,
we will attract and retain diverse talent,
mentor young translators and project coordinators.
We will reduce paper waste
and carbon emissions related to our technologies and development.
We will ensure linguists are paid fairly for their work.
We will see more LSPs becoming a certified B Corporation
and have a positive impact for their employees, communities, and the environment.
We will leverage our capabilities to improve content accessibility.
We will make sure no language is left behind by digitizing indigenous languages.
We will work together as a strong community
to share knowledge and inspire new generations.
Sustainability is not only a social obligation.
It is a business imperative.
Please, join us.
And help us campaign on sustainability issues
that matter most to you.
To build a more inclusive and sustainable economy.
To inspire others.
And to make a global impact.
Thank you so much. I think you'll recognize a few Ukrainian CEO there. So thank you for joining our initiative. Oh, sorry. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Great. So, how can we make a change? In the video, we proposed a few ideas from paying fair wages to working together as a strong community. But how can we make a change? So, if you are a corporation, you can look into becoming a B Corp. It is a sustainable way of doing business. It's called actually regenerative business because you give back to society as much as you use. It has a dual purpose. It's profit and impact. So it is a halfway model between for-profit and non-profit. So in addition to revenue benefit, corporations voluntarily commit themselves by law to pursue social and environmental impact. And they're visionary businesses because they have sustainability embedded in their corporate strategy to restore, renew, and grow people, planet, and profit. So all those elements of sustainable organization. They're committed to the highest standards of ESG performance, and they do business for all the stakeholders. So the employees, community, consumers, environment, and their shareholders. In brief, they're committed to generating value for the world that overweights the resources they use to run the business. Operating as a regenerative business means giving back to society and the planet that you take from them. So they act as generators of shared value. Right now in the world, there are around 4,000 benefit corporations, 600 in Europe, 600 only, because the revolution started in the States. So actually the interest in those B corporations increases every year. So last year that interest increased by 30%, and it's booming because it's a powerful regenerative revolution that is taking place. And what's interesting also about those benefit corporations is that because they work in a community, that enforces them to network, to find partners, and it is actually together as joint force they can contribute to fix the suffering planet. If you are interested, and if you represent a business and you are interested in learning where to start, you can go to this website. It's the Impact Assessment. It's free. There are 200 questions there, and if you respond positively to 80 questions, you can then contact B-Lab and ask to be certified. There is a fee attached to it, and you have to have an audit every 3 years. However, it is incredibly difficult to get it. I know that quite a few companies, also from the CEOs that you've seen in the video, are trying to get it now, but it is quite hard because there was 140,000 businesses that have done this assessment, and only 4,000 were certified. So it's a fraction, really. It is a testament to the extremely high standard and strict accreditation process. But now I would like to talk about actually one of the first, or potentially even the first LSP that got this certification. They're called Way to Global. Have you ever heard about Laura Gori? She used to be the CEO and the founder of Transedit, which was a very well-known Italian LSP, actually on SDL side, on Donnelly side. We always work with them. They were our preferred partner into Italian. However, she was always interested in sustainability issues. And when she split with her business partner, she decided to create a new company only a few years ago, Way to Global, that would be a B corporation that would be based on those sustainable standards. And it is an incredible success story. And that's why I would like to tell you more about Laura Gori and her company, because it actually shows green to gold, how green practices can really improve your business. So first of all, she joined a few years ago. She joined because she was interested in becoming a B corporation. She joined a pilot project that was organized by an Italian government, which helped different companies to become a B corporation. She was the only LSP joining that pilot project. So immediately, of course, the networking opportunities, you can only imagine. She had more opportunities work opportunities that she was able to handle. She started to speak about it, also represent Italy and being an Italian ambassador for B Corp. For example, now she's invited to Dubai, to the Expo Dubai 2020 to represent Italy at the governmental stand in Dubai. She wrote books about it. She speaks about it a lot, so you can also listen to some of her presentations. And now she was also invited as 100's most powerful female entrepreneurs in Europe. She was also invited by the European Commission to work on a new regulation championing gender equality in Europe. So quite an impressive story, and it all started when she wanted to become a B corporation. So I just also wanted to talk about a few projects that she introduced at her company, just to show you opportunities and possibilities there. So there's Language Industry 4.0, and so commitment to digital so innovation. So what she does, it's basically the idea here is to nurture a relationship with the community of translators. We spoke about isolation being one of the main issues that many of linguists face working from home and missing having a team. So here, the aim of the Language Industry 4.0 was to create an inclusive ecosystem and a virtual and open platform, networks and work environments to share knowledge and resources between all the community of professionals that work with Way2 Global. So the network, and I would say the translation, editing, and QC is never done in a anonymous way. All those linguists, they work together on the final project, and they can discuss different ideas. So also what they do, they of course provide
Sabina,
translators
sorry,
with
you have
technology.
one minute, even less left.
Oh wow, great guys. Okay, so let me summarize what you see on this slide. Yes, no, I really wanted to speak about Laura because it's fantastic. So okay, so let me. So you understood the idea of the network. But the second one is green translation. So for example, instead of buying presents for their clients, they plant trees in Africa. They actually produce zero waste. They officially last year reduced the carbon footprint to zero. So there are definitely ways to do that. Other great examples are Poland. So Poland is an organization led by Agata Rybacka that you might know already, that actually are associated all these Polish CEOs to fight against the pricing pathology, to share knowledge, to help them as a strong community. Duna, it's a language company. They open a kindergarten, so the parents can work and see their children during the day, but at the same time, of course, those children are learning and speaking different languages in the kindergarten. Associations, one of them, you know Gala. Gala is one of the partners of UTIC, but there's also Translation Commons, which is a volunteer nonprofit organization when leaders around the world volunteer their time. And if you are a young linguist or even an experienced linguist, you can always join, look for a mentor, look for someone who would edit and help you with your work. So please look at Translation Commons as well. And as the next step, please join our initiative. So contact me on LinkedIn if you are interested to learn more about Sustainability Manifesto. If you are a company, please do a free online impact assessment. Become a B corporation. I know it's hard, but we're it definitely brings incredible opportunities. And of course, promote sustainability standards in what you do, whoever you are, whoever you work for. So thank you so much, and I hope that was 1 minute.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabina. Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say that I think I know a good candidate for this sustainability project to the sustainability community. It's the InText company, because several years ago, instead of sending New Year and Christmas presents to their clients, they invested money in this beautiful UTIC campground to welcome all us here. So is it something that matches your ideas?
Absolutely. Actually, UTIC is one of the examples that I also cite when I talk about sustainability. And it is not only a conference that creates a community, but of course it's in a beautiful environment with yoga, with all those beautiful nature that you have around you. I think this is exactly the type of initiatives that we need in the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabina.
And hope to see you next year here.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so sorry, and I regret so much I cannot be there with you. Tanya, beautiful dress.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.